And welcome to another episode of Hazardous Verbal Waste. I'm your host, Shira-chan. Today is Saturday, January 11th, 2020. We've got a lot of really cool stuff to go over this week, including my take on the upcoming YuGiOh Forbidden Limited list. Without further ado, let's get right down to it, shall we? In YuGiOh news, today I want to talk a little bit about my thoughts on the upcoming Forbidden Limited list. After careful scrutiny of the winning deck lists for the last few regional qualifier and YCS tournaments, it is my conclusion that Sky Strikers, Orcrusts, Thunder Dragons, all variants of these three decks, Hand Traps, and Infinite Impertinence will all get hit in some fashion. Now, I'm not exactly sure how that will happen exactly, especially since Konami has already said that the upcoming list will only be making small changes. But the trends I'm seeing show that these decks and cards are dominating the top tournaments in a way that is making things not fun. Kind of the way Teledad and BLS Envoy did back in their respective heydays. Now, I realize that this is probably not a very popular opinion, especially among those either playing these decks or trying to build them to take to tourneys, but after my research, this is the trend I am seeing. I would love to hear your thoughts on the upcoming list and any predictions you guys may have for the list itself and what kind of format we may be looking at going forward after the list goes live. I will let you know at the end of the episode how you may contact the show with your thoughts on this subject. Also in YuGiOh news, YuGiOh Duel Links celebrates its 3rd anniversary. Now, starting on January 12th, Konami will be celebrating the 3rd anniversary of YuGiOh Duel Links with a few cool surprises for fans. During the anniversary, players who log in will automatically receive the Winged Dragon of Ra, which you can see the full details of on their website. Plus, more content will be added to the game with Selection Box Volume 3, which contains several powerful cards, as well as Structure Deck EX Dragoonity Overdrive. That's pretty much all we have for YuGiOh news this week. On to the next segment. In Pokemon news, Trade Evolution and more Pokemon originally discovered in Unova are here. According to the Pokemon Go website, and I quote, "Trade Evolution has long been an iconic mechanic in the main Pokemon series. We are excited to adapt this feature to Pokemon Go. Trading certain Pokemon will result in no candy cost to evolve them. More Pokemon originally discovered in the Unova region are also coming to Pokemon Go, and some of them will benefit from the addition of Trade Evolution too." So that's a good news for those who are fans of the primary series of Pokemon games. We'll have to see how well this particular feature works. Let's see, we got a few notes here on how it works. If you trade an eligible Pokemon to lower the candy cost to evolve them, Kadabra, Machoke, Graveler, and Haunter are some of the Pokemon that can now benefit from Trade Evolution. If you received one of these Pokemon in a trade in the past, that Pokemon will retroactively qualify for no candy cost when you evolve it. And Pokemon originally discovered in the Unova region that benefit from Trade Evolution, Boldore, Girder, Karrablast, and Shelmet are now appearing in Pokemon Go and will be eligible for Trade Evolution benefits. And remember, trainers, Boldores, and Girders evolutions, Gilgarth and Conquador, I'm sorry if I'm butchering these names, might be powerful Pokemon to have in your battle parties. This is information coming right from the Pokemon Go website and from the Pokemon Go team. So if you want more information on how Trade Evolution is going to work in Pokemon Go, or what new Pokemon will be available, you can go right to the website and read this information for yourselves. This is exciting news as they are adding more Pokemon and more features that us Pokemon Go players have been asking for. Unfortunately, that's pretty much all we have for Pokemon news. On to the next segment. In Magic the Gathering news, first Magic Legends gameplay trailer shows off pre-alpha footage. In case you missed it from last year's Game Awards, the long-running fantasy card game Magic the Gathering will be getting its own MMO. The announcement trailer, though, was entirely CGI, with not even a hint of gameplay. Recently, Game Informer announced that it would be running exclusive info about the title, starting with a short trailer that gives us a first look at the game itself. While the footage is listed as being from a pre-alpha build, it nonetheless gives a good indication as to what the game will be like. The focus seems to be on the two first classes confirmed for the game, Mind Mage and Geomancer. Mind Mages are long-range fighters that specialize in using psychic powers to fire projectiles, put enemies to sleep, or make them attack other enemies, alongside other kinds of spells. Geomancers focus more on close combat, wielding fire and earth magic to pummel enemies. They can also create a rock shield that can absorb attacks and summon other creatures like goblins to aid them in battle. You can also see in the trailer how abilities will work in Magic Legends. Players will have access to 4 of them at once. When one is used, however, it is then replaced with a different ability altogether. More abilities can be collected as players travel the world. Now, since the announcement, the game's official website has been receiving updates too, including story details about how an ancient force is threatening the multiverse and that you must travel between the planes and become the planeswalker to save it. So far, 2 regions have been confirmed, which can be seen in the footage. The first is Shiv, a volcanic island inhabited by ogres and dragons. The second is Benalia, a city run by a church state that offers a mixture of rolling plains and dark swamps. At least 3 more are planned to be announced further down the line. Now, if this sounds appealing to you, you can sign up for the beta on the website. Now, Magic Legends is slated to release in 2020 for PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. That's pretty much all we have for Magic the Gathering news this week. On to the next segment. In gaming news, new leak suggests Assassin's Creed Ragnarok is cross-gen, co-op, and contains the biggest open world yet. Assassin's Creed Ragnarok, the much-rumored next entry in Ubisoft's open-world alt-history series, is looking all the more likely, as an exhaustively detailed leak has surfaced online following multiple sightings of store listings for the game across a number of retailers. The latest leak, provided by an anonymous tipster citing connections with the game's development team and summarized on Reddit, claims that Assassin's Creed Ragnarok does indeed place you in the waterlogged boots of a Viking and will release next September, with an official reveal apparently coinciding hand in hand with the rumored PlayStation meeting for PS5, said to be taking place in February. Not only that, but the post claims that players will once again be able to choose their gender for Ragnarok's main protagonist, named Jorah, who leads a small band of fellow Vikings that allow for drop-in, drop-out online co-op with up to 4 different players. Other notable points made by the rumor state that the game's map is essentially all of Northern Europe, including cities such as York, Paris, and London. That dynamic, large-scale wars will take place in real time across the open world, that stealth has been radically overhauled, and that the game will be a cross-gen release for PC, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, PS4, and PS5. Now, normally these kinds of anonymous tips have to be taken with as much salt as medically recommended, but without potentially spoiling any major story beats, this leak goes into exceptional detail, referencing relatively obscure historical events that do indeed have connection with the associated time period. It's hard to believe that anyone would put this amount of time and thought into a complete fabrication. Even so, we'll have to hold out hope for some more official news from Ubisoft itself before anything can be verified. But according to this latest gossip, that wait won't be much longer. Also in gaming news, Xbox won't have Series X exclusives for at least a year. 2020 is when the next generation of consoles is set to be released, but Microsoft is upending the playbook this year by announcing the upcoming Xbox Series X won't launch with exclusive games. Instead, any new title playable on the Series X will also be playable on older Xbox One consoles. Quote, "As our content comes out over the next year, 2 years, all of our games, sort of like PC, will play up and down that family of devices," said Xbox Game Studios boss Matt Booty in a recent interview with MCV. Quote, "We want to make sure that if someone invests in Xbox between now and Series X, that they feel that they made a good investment and that we're committed to them with content." And what this means is that Xbox will still have console exclusives on Xbox and PC, but they won't be limited to just the Series X. Upcoming games for the next-gen Microsoft console will also be playable on the Xbox One, Xbox One S, and Xbox One X. Now, this is somewhat of a departure for next-gen hardware. While there are cross-gen games that are usually released within the first 2 years of a console launch, there are also next-gen exclusive games that are released to incentivize the early adoption of new hardware. But Microsoft seems to be avoiding that strategy with the Series X. Anticipated Series X games like Halo Infinite are already confirmed to also be coming to Xbox One, but it sounds like Microsoft is planning for Xbox games to be cross-generational for at least the next 2 years. That's pretty much all we have for gaming news, and pretty much all the news we have for this week. On to the final thoughts. Before we get to the final thoughts, here's a few words from some other shows you might find entertaining.
Hey, I'm Chen.
And I'm James.
We're from A Bloody Mess Podcast, the badly researched true crime podcast.
We straddle the boundaries between documentary and comedy, and our aim is to leave you laughing and thinking, wow, I didn't know that.
So once you're done with this podcast, add us to your download lists and give us a go. Have a nice day.
Bye.
There's been a murder of podcast.
Hello! Do you listen to podcasts? Did you seriously just give me that look? I knew you listened to podcasts, but do you listen to the Bare Naked Ladies? Wait, don't hit fast forward. Yes, there's a band out there called Bare Naked Ladies. They are quirky, fun, comedic, and excellent musicians. If you love alternative 90s music with a little jazz, rap, and country mixed in at different times, then you've got to try this band out. And we will lead you through a journey of getting to love this band. We have 3 or 4 people with different levels of bare naked experience. We have Aaron, who's our music expert that breaks down each song. We will try to be informative, but also, we're all friends, so we like to have as much fun as possible. If you are a moderate fan of BNL, then you'll find new experiences and information. If you're a BNL fanatic like me, then I bet you too will find a song that is a deep dive that you never knew of. We sometimes have guests after the first letter. Oh, did I not mention that? We are Bare Naked ABCs, and the ABCs represents that we discuss the songs alphabetically. So come try us out on all platforms where podcasts are downloaded. Bare Naked ABCs. And no, we are not nude during the recordings.
Bare Naked. Bare Naked. Bare Naked. ABCs.
Hello, future listeners. We are Historical AF. I'm Ashley.
I'm Keena.
And I'm Natalie.
We are 2 librarians and a historian bringing the funny, weird, spooky, and morbid historical nuggets you never knew you needed in your ear holes every Sunday.
And once a month, we bring you extra AF episodes full of your stories and history in the news.
And we do this while hitting the giggle water and gracing the world with our foul mouths and wit.
So if you love to laugh and you like history, true crime, and the paranormal, then we are the podcast for you, and your girls can't wait for you to join us.
You can find us on all major podcasting platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. For a full list of ways to listen, go to historicalafpodcast.wordpress.com. And while you're there, you can check out the photos that accompany each episode.
Yeah, bye. We'll see you soon. I don't know. That'll probably scare them away.
Yeah.
Probably.
Come to us. Come to the dark side. We have vodka.
And
Yeah.
cookies.
Hell yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Well, that's pretty much all we have for this week. I hope you've been both entertained and informed. If you have any comments or suggestions that you would like to see me cover on an upcoming episode, there are several ways that you can contact me. The email is hazardousverbal@gmail.com. You can go to my website, hazardousverbal.com. There's a Contact Us page there. There you can find the links to all of my social media accounts, as well as a contact form that you can fill out. If you would like to leave me a voice message through Skype, the Skype ID is Ichimoto1. And if you leave a voice message, I'll make sure to play it on a future episode. Well, as I said, that's pretty much all we have for this week. I did want to give you a couple of updates. I sold a couple of cards. Awesome. I have been streaming on Twitch, mostly in the evenings and on the weekends. And except for this Saturday. This Saturday, I am actually going to a Twitch meetup in Seattle. Hopefully, it'll be informative and do a little bit of networking. That's pretty much all I have for this week. Until next time, this is Shiro-chan signing off. Peace.